So as it turns out, the petcock I got off eBay doesn't work. The bolts are too far out here, so I am just going to use the stock petcock. But instead, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to JB weld up this hole here, because really all I need is one output for the fuel. I don't need two. I just need one. And hopefully, by doing this, I'm not completely shooting myself in the foot. I'm going to test it out a little bit more with compressed air just to make sure that both of these holes operate in the same way, so that, you know, this one isn't specifically for like reserve and this one isn't for, you know, anything like that. I want to make sure that's not the case, and if it isn't the case, I'm just going to slap some JB Weld on there, call it a day. Alright, JB Weld did the trick. Just tested it with compressed air and we are good to go. Nothing's coming out of there. So let's get back on the tank. So there's a few issues here with the petcock. First and foremost, when you have it in the off position, it doesn't stop the flow of fuel. So what I think that is, it's because of this little gasket right here, which sits in the, if you can see it, which actually sits in the petcock like that. What I think is it's not shutting off because this guy is just worn down. I ordered a new one, another 10 bucks, again, nickel and diamond me to death. But what I think it is it's these little circles here. They're pretty much flat. So I think that when the selector here rotates around to shut off different parts of the petcock, I think that it's just, you know, it's just been all smoothed out, so it's, you know, it's not sealing like it should. So I got another one of these coming. We'll figure it out. There's another little issue, and that has to do with the barbs here with the petcock. The barb here is, I believe, 1/4 inch inner diameter. And I have some 1/4 inch tube here, so let's see if it fits snugly. Yeah, that's a 1/4 inch. However, the fuel line is, I think, 5/16. I'm not too good with imperial, but it's the next size inner diameter up from a 1/4 inch, and the reason why it has to be this big is to fit over the nipple on the carbs that splits out in order to go into the bowls. So there's an issue. Obviously, these are two different sizes. So what do we do? What I tried to do was just put a clamp on the end of this one and just tighten it down for it to fit over a 1/4 inch. Now, of course, that's way too much size to make up, so it didn't work. So it leaked all over the place. So what I have instead is one of these. This is a vacuum line, a universal vacuum line coupler, but it works for fuel as well. Hopefully it won't eat away at the plastic too bad, and it really shouldn't, because, you know, it's the junction at the carbs is plastic, so it shouldn't eat up this plastic. So, you know, this has, like, I think 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, 3/4 of an inch, you know. So here's what we're gonna do. First of all, I'm gonna slide this tube all the way on here, and I'm gonna make a cut if I have some scissors lying around somewhere. I do. Let's see if I can find them. Do I have scissors? Let me see. Okay, let's see if these little guys work. And I'm just going to cut a little length of it. I'm not going to try and You know, I have so much of this tube, it doesn't really matter. I can, you know, you can take off more if needed. And I believe, let's just see. So this, obviously, corner, yeah. So I'm going to cut off this little end right here. If I can. Yep. Away it goes. Right, so that's 1/4 inch inner diameter. Slide it on. We're good. And now, we're gonna, this is just spare fuel hose. I have, you know, the actual fuel hose on the bike. And I'm not gonna slide it all the way up here because this fuel hose is really awesome. And it'll get in there and it'll just clamp shut and it'll be super hard to get off. But essentially what I'm gonna do is take off now this bit right here. If I can. Helps to have the right tools for the job, right? It's kind of working. Oh, Lord. Okay. Let's try these. Yep. And so now we have the 1/4 inch inner diameter will now fit over the 5/16 with no problem. I think how Kawasaki did this is that because it had originally two barbs coming off here at a 1/4 inch, I think that there was a part that they sold that went from a 1/4 inch here to 5/16 down into the carbs. Being that I'm only using one now, I have to do it this way. And then I'm also going to splice in a fuel filter, either in the 1/4 inch or the 5/16, whatever I find. I have the option to put it wherever the hell I want now, and it could be either size. So now I'm going to reassemble the petcock, even though it's, you know, missing a part. It's not going to seal correctly. I'm just going to put a little bit gas in there because I still want to see if it starts on the carburetor, not with starter fluid. A quick update on the bike. Fuel tank is good to go. That issue I was saying about it flowing out when it was on the off position, that was just corrected by getting the new gasket that sits in there, the one with the 4 holes in it. I got a new one of those, popped it in there. We're good. It works correctly now. Do have a leak, fuel leak, in between the middle of the carbs that I assume, see the puddle there? I assume it's from the T. I just got it. I assume it's from the T that the fuel comes from, the inlet that it comes from. I don't think it's the bowls, I think it's the T itself. But I'm going to take the carbs off and dive into them a little bit more and see what I can find. Now, it does start, it does run, it does idle. It's a little lean. I'm putting the filters on this will help, and that those are coming in a few days, but I'm going to be out of town all next week. So putting a filter on there will work, but you know, I think I just need to adjust the well, two things. I need to sync them. I haven't done that first, and I need to play with the air fuel screw a little bit to get it all dialed in, but for the most part it's pretty good. It revs up good. There's a bit of a stumble around 4,000 RPM, and then it just catches on and backfires. So I'm thinking, you know, we'll see once I sync it and get the air fuel mixture dialed in, and take care of this leak too, because it could be starving one of the carbs. So I don't know, but I'm not too worried about it. Compression seems good. Yeah, run. got to get the idle in. It's a little low on fuel, you know, so it's not going to hold its idle really well right now. You can hear it sucking. Definitely too much air, so I'll fix that. But so it sounds good. Those megaphones are real nice, those secondhand megaphones. This is clamped in with, you know, just a clamp I got off eBay. I think it's 1.85 inch. I'm not sure though. But the one thing I do have to do is fabricate up some mounts for the exhaust. The stock ones, if I was just using stock pipes, they just mount right directly behind the rear foot peg, just in there. But, you know, being that these are aftermarket and I cut them, I just need to make a little bracket that goes from there to there. Really no big deal, just a piece of steel from there to there. Make some bushings, or not make some bushings, buy some bushings in there too so that it's able to rattle around and, you know, do what it needs to. So right now, I'm just gonna let the bike cool down for a little while. You know, because running lean gets it pretty damn hot pretty quick. But yeah, and then I'm gonna look into that fuel leak and see where the hell that's coming from. Let's see if I can fix that. And go from there. One thing I can do right now is I can check the charging system. Bike is off. I got 12.5 volts out of the battery, which is pretty good, right around where I want it. Turning on the bike is obviously going to drop it a little bit, and once I have the headlight picked up or hooked up, it's going to drop it a little bit more too. But I want to see if the bike charges, and the way to see that is if this goes above, or if it keeps above 12, or, you know, ideally you want it like 13.5 or more. It means it's like charging the battery and the charging system's working properly. So let's see if it works. Fuel on. Let's check it out. Yeah, it works. Awesome. That's real good. Nice. Awesome, that's really great news. Usually you're not actually going to start charging the battery until you get above a certain RPM, around like 4 grand or something like that. So that's why I rev it to see how high the battery will, how high the reading will go, and we got to like 13.5 average, which is pretty damn good. So awesome. That means that I don't have to really play around with the charging system, replacing the regulator, the rectifier, messing around with the stator or anything like that. It all works, which is awesome. That is a nice little bit of good news, because this bike is really just, it's been trying my patience a little bit lately, but that's good. That's good. I'm happy about that.